Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. Now I know there hasn't been a video for quite a while. And the thing is, I should be able to watch pretty much the whole season of the IPL, every single game live. And I'm looking to post a video for, and that should be for most games that I watch live. And I should be able to watch them all. So stay tuned for that. And today I'm going to be talking about 10 things that I'm looking forward to for this IPL season that's going to start in 3 days' time. And the thing is that so since there are 10 teams, I'll be kind of giving one thing to look forward to for each franchise. But before I continue with that, I'd like to congratulate the Bangladesh cricket team for their series win over South Africa in the ODIs. They won the series 2-1 today. And especially after the disappointing loss in the second ODI, they managed to win this ODI in an even more dominating fashion than they lost the previous one. And overall, that really kind of just caps two outstanding performances from Bangladesh in this series, in the first game and this third game. Players like Taskin Ahmed, who I've always rated, he really stood up in this series. Once again, the series showed how important Shakib Al Hasan is to the side, and Bangladesh were honestly lucky, I'd say, that in the end, last minute, he chose to tour, because especially in that first game, that match-turning partnership between him and Yasir Ali, that was pretty much what gave Bangladesh the ascendancy. So many players stood up for Bangladesh in this series. And I really think that overall it was an outstanding performance. This team, the one-day format is their strongest format that we've known for quite a while. And they've been moving in the right direction in that format for quite some time. And even in the test format, they've recently, despite the fact that, again, you wouldn't really say they're too strong in tests, even though I know they won in New Zealand, but still, you wouldn't really say they're too strong in tests yet, and certainly not in T20s. So the one-day format has been their strongest one. They've been moving in the right direction for quite some time, and especially the players like Shariful Islam, who I'd heard about before, but I'd seen him bowl for the first time, and especially in that first game, he was outstanding. And I really think the Yasir Ali as well, scoring a 50 in that first game with the partnership with Shakib Al Hasan. So an outstanding performance from Bangladesh, and especially recently a test win in New Zealand, and now a series win in South Africa. And they hadn't won in South Africa, I think a game in South Africa on South African shores for 38 attempts before the first win in the first game. And since they've clinched the series 2-0 with pretty much against, apart from Anrek Nokia, this is a full-strength South Africa squad available. And really well done to Bangladesh, and this ODI team continues to be moving in the right direction. And considering the test win in New Zealand as well, let's see where Bangladesh cricket will go from here. And they've certainly got a good crop of players like Shariful Islam coming through. And next is going to be I'm going to talk about the Pakistan-Australia series. Now, once again, in this third test, there seems to be a bit of a flat track. And I think the commentator was Michael Kasprowitz, if I'm saying that right. I saw this on Twitter where he referred to the pitches as being flat, and then immediately referred to them as being good batting strips. And Ramiz Raja, after the first test, he said, I'm paraphrasing, he kind of said, we wanted to negate their strengths and play to ours. And I think he's saying this because he understands the limitations of Pakistan's test bowling attack at this point. Now, what I'm saying is, the main difference between Pakistan's attack and Australia's attack is how long they're able to be be threatening at that peak threshold. Now, what I'm trying to say is this. So, for quite a while now, especially in the last couple of years or so, and especially playing against more reputable opposition, Pakistan have probably bowled. They've been at their peak, kind of threatening in their first 20 overs of their bowling innings, where they're really that's probably the worst time to face them as a batting unit. But after that, it's not like their discipline goes off or anything, but they just don't seem to have that cutting edge to sustain that early momentum throughout the innings. And I remember there was a year and a bit ago now, there was so the series where Pakistan toured New Zealand in the Test series, and New Zealand were 3 wickets down for less than 100, and in the end, I think Kane Williamson scored a double 100, and then New Zealand scored 649, and so it's just kind of like, that's just an example where they've done well at the start. And also I remember when in 2019, I think, when South Africa toured Pakistan, where Pakistan managed to concede 400, but they weren't, there wasn't ill discipline or anything, because they didn't have that extra cutting edge to just get those wickets. In that middle phase, the batsmen get more comfortable, and then the big totals pile on, and you can't really say the bowling's been bad. And it's like, the only bowler who seems to be kind of close to that peak threshold all the time is Mohammad Abbas. But I'd like to draw kind of comparisons to Vernon Philander, where yes, on their day, and they do this quite often, and but especially Vernon Philander and Mohammad Abbas with the start to his Test career, both of them can rip through oppositions on their day, and they always bowl economically. But you saw bowlers like Dale Steyn, etc., who were the ones that really would just go and just almost attack the opposition, get those early wickets really quickly, and it'll kind of be like a whirlwind, let's say. And I'm not saying there has to be someone like that in Pakistan, in the Pakistan side, because there isn't really anyone like that in world cricket right now, really. But I'm saying that something kind of where, if you're relying on Mohammad Abbas to always kind of provide that cutting edge, he needs help around him. He's a brilliant bowler. He's by far the best bowler in this Pakistan Test side, simply because he's able to retain that potency throughout the innings. But the problem is, if he just kind of bowls economically, which sometimes if he doesn't get wickets, who else is going to stand up? And that's the problem that Pakistan have, where even if you have like a Shaheen Afridi, for example, if this was a white ball game, well, T20 World Cup against India, where they chose to field first in good bowling conditions, again, that's what I'm trying to say, is that if they prepared a T20 surface on home soil with kind of a full house stadium, they would choose to kind of bowl first and get early wickets. They wouldn't even think about preparing a flat pitch, because it's kind of worked for them that, especially, for example, in ODI cricket, when they post a score and then they're able to get their bowlers to put the pressure on the opposition, and especially with the bowlers they've got like Shaheen Afridi and Haris Rauf, and you saw in the T20 World Cup where absolute Jaffers Shaheen Afridi bowled to Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul. So it's kind of where they kind of ride the momentum in the white ball formats, and so they wouldn't even think about preparing a flat track. But in this case, they've had to, because they realised that Pat Cummins, Josh Hazlewood, Nathan Lyon, and anyone else really, Mitchell Stark, anyone that they've seemed to have bowled in this 11 in the past few months, has seemed to maintain that potency throughout the innings. And so despite the fact that right now the batting lineups seem to have similar confidence, certainly the bowling Australia would heavily outbowl the Pakistan bowling attack, and that's why if you prepare a pitch that's doing a bit, it may give Australia a heightened advantage. And you could say right now, with the collapse for Pakistan, they are a bit behind the Test match. They may somehow be able to draw it, but yeah, let's see how that goes. But if it is a draw, I just think that for such a momentous series, after so long cricket returning to Pakistan, such a high-profile series, it would be a bit of a disappointment that there were only really 2 fast-paced kind of moments or passages of play in this entire series, which at this point would be Pakistan kind of getting bowled out twice. And yeah, that's on this series. And I think and if you look at it in that logic, then you wouldn't necessarily, yes, it's a bit annoying to see kind of flat tracks, but that's probably the thinking that the pitch curators have kind of gone into when preparing the pitches. And yeah, that's on that. And another thing before I go on to the 10 things for the IPL. The pitch for the Bangalore pitch in India between India and Sri Lanka for Virat Kohli's 100th Test, that's been not given a good rating by the ICC, which I just find absurd, because that wasn't even half as much, or even a third of the England versus India test in Ahmedabad, and even that wasn't that bad. But I just feel like for that you could say, just because it's turning square, it's kind of a thing where if the ball was moving around so much, right? If this was a pitch in England where teams got balled out for 100 when the ball was moving around so much, no one would be saying anything. But just because it's a track where with a lot of turn, and it's kind of associated with being a minefield, that's the reason why pitches get a poor rating if they turn square, and that's why I just find that absurd. But it's even more of an absurdity to give this pitch a poor rating, because India scored 252 and 303 with Shreyas Iyer, the best player spin in the world, showing exactly how it's done. And the losing captain scores a century in the 4th inning. So if things were that bad, you wouldn't have had all these kind of milestones. And the fact is, yes, the pitch seemed like a turning pitch, yes. But look who's done the most damage. I mean, for India, it was the seamers. And I'm sure for Sri Lanka, I felt they should have bowled the seam as well. Because Embuldinia and Jay Wickrama, yes, Jay Wickrama was injured for quite a bit of the test. But Embuldinia and him they just were dropping it short all the time, and they were quite expensive. And I think the Sri Lankan seamers would have done a much better job in containing the runs, despite the fact they don't quite have that. The action of Bumrah gets the extra bounce and the mechanical action of Bumrah, and I really think that that's probably the reason why he got a bit more purchase from this wicket than the Sri Lankan seamers would have. I just think that they don't really have someone that's going to kind of hit the pitch like Bumrah does, especially in the attack that they chose. But I just think that in the end, you could say it's not really a rank. The ball's turning, yes, but in the end, the seamers are doing more damage. And it's just a pitch that's hard to bat on. And in the end, batsmen have found the answers and have actually got quite good milestones. I mean, you don't get 92 off 98 and then 107 if the pitch is... Yes, the innings were good, but it just shows that you can find a way to play on them. And it wasn't anywhere near, not even a third of the India-England test in Ahmedabad. And I thought that rating that as a poor surface was absurd as well. So this one, I just think is just ridiculous. And finally, we're going to get to the IPL squad. So I'm going to go through each team and say one thing which I think that I'm looking forward to see this season. So first of all, the RCB. And the thing I'm looking forward to see is how their two spinners respond to fill in the shoes of Chahal. Now, if you're looking at this here, these two spinners, Hasaranga and Karan Sharma, if you look at what Chahal did, bowl kind of so well in the pressure situation in the Chinnaswamy Stadium, and playing in Maharashtra where the pitches will be there will be quite a few runs this year in the IPL. So the spinners would probably have to play a similar or the same role that Chahal played for RCB. And honestly, even if you combine Hasaranga and Karan Sharma, they're not even 50. They're not even half of what Chahal is. I wouldn't even say they're 40% of what Chahal is. So it's almost like you're not going to get that, the spinner digging in and just delivering in the pressure situation. You're effectively not going to get that at all at first glance. And even then, it's kind of like, if you look at this bowling attack in general, if this was in the UAE, it would have been a completely different story. I think that if you look at Josh Hazelwood, Harshal Patel, Mohammad Siraj, I really think that in the UAE, there would have been less focus on Mohammad Siraj's death bowling, because he would bowl up front and really just get the ball to seam around. and he had quite a bit of success, and there wasn't really a huge risk of conceding too many runs in most cases. And as I said before, even if you get 85 runs in 10 overs in the UAE, there's no guarantee that you'll get 170 as easy as you would get in other surfaces. You'd still have to apply yourself quite a lot to get there. So because there weren't as many runs involved as there probably would be this season, you thought that in conditions like the UAE, where there aren't any demons in the pitches, but you can really be in the game by still containing the batting side in terms of making sure they don't score too many runs. And that's what this RCB bowling attack did, and that's why they've been really lucky I would say to not play in Bangalore and play in surfaces in the UAE, and even in India kind of play on, when they're playing in Chennai and so on. But in this case, it's not going to be that easy. Josh Hazlewood, I think, is probably bowling the best in T20s that he's ever bowled. So he's a great signing for RCB. You've got the likes of Harshal Patel and Mohammad Siraj. Mohammad Siraj is a bit of a risk for me because, as I said, from what I just said before, is that based on what I said before of what helps him in the UAE, I feel he's going to struggle a bit. Even if you're going to ask him to bowl with a new ball, they're going to be run straight away from the get-go in these conditions, and he's certainly not going to bowl to death. And if you bowl him 4 up front, he's not a Deepak Chairhead, and he may concede too many runs. So they're going to have to, it's a question mark there. And then Harshal Patel, luckily, he seems to be combining the old with the new. He seems to be recently in the home series bowling quicker when he needs to. And I think that would certainly be necessary in these pitches. You can't rely on the slow stuff all the time, and almost not anywhere near as much as he usually does. You have to rely on the quicker stuff more. So luckily, he's kind of embedded that now. It's something he used to do in the past, more than the slower stuff. And if he just combines both the two, then yeah, I think that you'll have quite a good season. And it's clearly the onus on the seamers, mostly a Josh Hazlewood and Harshal Patel. I don't think you can rely on Siraj as much as you would have done or you could have done in the UAE. And the spinners, they're going to have to do... Well, they're not going to be able to do what a Chahal does. And I think even the management would know that, which is the reason why I find it really odd that... I'll see how much Chahal went for, because... So Chahal went for 6.5 crores to Rajasthan Bulls, and they've just got Hasaranga for 10.75. No, well, I think it's the same price here. 10.75 crores. And is he... Yes, he probably offers kind of a balance at the number 7 role, let's say, which in this side he'll probably bat there. But... I just don't understand. I'm just saying they're not even going to get nearly 40% as much as what a Chahal gave you in this pressure moment. So that's what I'm looking forward to them to see how that bowling attack manages. Then KKR. Now, what I'm looking forward to see is Shreyas Iyer's captaincy. How this team goes with Shreyas Iyer as captain. I think that this is probably, apart from the first season, of course, where you'd have these captains already kind of appointed, but you had to buy the captains like MS Dhoni for CSK, for example. But if you look at since Gautam Gambhir, KKR have played some really good cricket at times, but it's been a bit of a roller coaster. I don't think there's been as an imperial feeling like under Gautam Gambhir, what led them to 2 titles. And they got close in the last season, but CSK were just too good on the day. And I think that I'm looking forward to see how Shreyas Iyer goes. I think that this is probably the most high-profile captaincy appointment in the IPL I'm seeing ever since season 1. Because I'm saying this, that there wouldn't have been a single case where someone who hasn't had too much experience captaining, and yet he's able to demand he is demanding a captaincy a captaincy role in any side that he gets picked in. He gets picked for a lot of money, 12 crores, and he's in the best form of his life. So I think that he's probably done things with Delhi Capitals and with the Indian side now to warrant this opportunity. And I think probably the most high profile captaincy appointment in a long while, maybe even ever in the IPL, especially considering, apart from the first season, obviously. So I really am looking forward to see how he goes with this side, and I think that this will be the closest kind of the method to which they can rediscover that kind of imperial feeling they got with Gautam Gambhir. Certainly not in the same way, but I just think that if they just want to get or are trying to get back to how they were before, I certainly think that this is a very good captaincy appointment to explore, to see how they can really become a side that they've been a side that plays good cricket, but they just need to get that mental stronghold that they had under Gautam Gambhir. And then now the death bowling is a bit of a worry. I just think that their best death bowler is Andre Russell, and if you'd want him to bat for the tournament, then would you want him to bowl more than 2 overs in a game? You wouldn't. And yeah, I think personally they should play Rasiq Salam Dar because instead of Umesh Yadav, because you know what you're getting with Umesh Yadav. And as I said, with what I saw of Rasiq Salam Dar in IPL 2019, where he played very briefly, I thought he was quite good. So yeah, that's on it. Then the Punjab Kings. Now, what I'm looking forward for the Punjab Kings is how Liam Livingstone goes, and how the middle order goes, because I'm saying, in the form of his life, he arrived to the UAE, he had 144 and nothing else. He didn't have that great of a PSO either, so he's not cut it out in these subcontinental leagues. I mean, he's done more in the T10, he's done more in the 100, he's done more internationally for England, especially playing in England. But he hasn't necessarily done well in kind of the subcontinental leagues. And 11.5 crores, I thought it was quite a lot of money. He does offer you overs as well, yes, but he's going to have to justify that price tag finally, because especially in my side, Prabhsimran Singh at number 3, because there was a hole in the middle order, in the lower middle order, that I didn't want there to have to be. Dhawan, Agarwal, Prabhsimran Singh, Johnny Bairstow, Liam Livingstone, Shah Rukh Khan, Udayan Smith, Rabada. Then you've got Arshdeep Singh at number 9. Then Rahul Chahar number 10. And then whoever I'm trying to... Sandeep Sharma number 11, I think. So, yeah, that would probably be the 11 that I can think of as of now. Maybe you say Harpreet Brar, you maybe want to introduce him at some point. Or even kind of, yeah, tinker around with the 11. It's a good 11, but I'm saying that if you see in the 11 that I just stated, you've got Prabhsimran Singh, you don't exactly know what he's going to do. And he'll be able to get the most freedom in that number 3 slot, as I said in a few videos ago, if the others pull their weight. If Liam Livingstone doesn't pull his weight, and nor does Prabhsimran Singh, and yes, they may play Harpreet Brar, but in these wickets, what are you going to get from? Yes, he can kind of really just, he can be maybe the number 7 who's able to score quick runs at the end, deliver a few overs, but as an impact player in these conditions, that's him with the bat, maybe, probably not with the ball. So I just think that yeah, Liam Livingstone is probably going to have to perform. Yes, they have Bhanuka Rajapaksa, who's an able backup for Liam Livingstone, but they do lose out on a few overs as well. So Liam Livingstone is going to have to perform, and that's on them. Then there's the Chennai Super Kings, and it's quite obvious here how they'll manage without Deepak Chahar for quite a bit of the tournament. They probably can't play Devon Conway, in my 11 at least, because they'd probably want to play Adam Milne and Chris Jordan to bolster the bowling. And yeah, let's see how they go. I mean, you could say in this 11 there's Robin Uthappa, Raj Gaikwad, Moeen Ali 3, Raidu 4, Dhoni 5, Jadeja 6. You've got Bravo 7, Jordan 8, Milne 9. Then you've got, I would say maybe Rajvardhan Hangargekar 10, and maybe someone else 11, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing someone out here, I don't know. But as you can see, there is a bit of, without Deepak Chahar in the side, you can't play Devon Conway, and they would have really, he was kind of that Faf du Plessis replacement. So yeah, that's certainly going to be quite a bit of a hole. They've got players like Simarjeet Singh, who I've heard from Ashwin's YouTube channel, he's quite skiddy, he bowls quite quick. Rajvardhan Hangargekar, I don't know how much you're going to rely on him in this case, but maybe they want to blood him in. Shivam Dubey, I think it's quite a good buy. I thought that by either him or Vijay Shankar, and they've got him and Tushar Deshmukh. So they've got some Indian domestic fast bowlers. But the certainly Chahar not being there, they would probably have wanted a place to play Devon Conway. But yeah, they've at least for half the tournament. I think until mid-April, I heard on Run Order from Akash Chopra that I don't think they'll be able to kind of have Deepak Chahar playing in the 11. So that's certainly how they'll manage with that. What I'm looking forward to see. But again, MS Dhoni's there, and you never know. Rather, if there's someone who knows how to manage with this squad, and certainly this kind of a problem, it is MS Dhoni. Then the Delhi Capitals. Now, what I'm looking forward for them is just I just want to see how their batting kind of goes. So you've got Prithvi Shaw, David Warner. Actually, a few things actually, because you've got Prithvi Shaw, David Warner. I would actually play KS Bharat in my 11. Now, if everyone's fit, because I'm saying that the reason why is KS Bharat 3, Rishabh Pant 4, Rovman Powell 5, Mitchell 6, the role that he used to do before, and he should still be able to. I know he's played quite well number 3, but you wouldn't say that he's a specialist number 3 now. He could still play in that finisher's role, and I think for this team he's going to have to, because you could play Sarfraz Khan and stuff who's in the form of his life once again, but you've got that top 6 which is extremely powerful. You've got the 3 overseas players there, and then the 2 players that provide such balance to the side in Akshar Patel, Shardul Thakur, Anrik Nokia when he's fit. I think he'll miss the first 3 games. If not him, they've got replacements in Lungi and Gidi and Mustafa Zurama, so certainly they're not hurt in that area. And the Thakur 7, Akshar 8, Nokia 9. You've got Kuldeep Yadav 10, and either Chetan Sakaria or who is it? Khalil Ahmed in at 11. And it's quite a good team. If they play Mustafizur Rahman instead of Nokia for the first game, maybe they'd want a right arm seamer, so they'd probably maybe pick on a Nagar Koti. But it's still quite a good side. But I still think, look, obviously they're not as strong as before. Nokia's fitness is key. And also is the fact that, yes, David Warner is, you could say, as far as contribution, you could say, yes, replacing a Shikhar Dhawan with him would certainly be as good. And if they both have their prime seasons, pretend, with what Warner's done in the past, you may even say slightly better. But the reason why for the team combination it's not great is because the subcontinental players they had in their batting lineup for the top and middle order, what that did was it allowed that second overseas fast bowler to be played, and that's what made Delhi an even more potent side. And if they had Mustafizur Rahman and Anrik Nokia bowling at the desk, then they wouldn't worry at all. And certainly their attack isn't as strong. They've got Akshar Patel, yes, but Kuldeep Yadav, how will he fare with considering he hasn't really been bowling too often. He hasn't been getting a game for KKR really all through the last season. And it'll be interesting to see how he goes. So as far as what I look forward to for Delhi, I just think that I'd like to see in general how they manage this season. Yes, it's quite a good squad. But you could say, especially with maybe availability issues, if you say, for example, if Anrik Nokia, for me, has to be kind of fit. Yes, they have replacements like Mutawazir Rahman, but it's not going to be the same. And, let's see which combination they go. Especially if they play Mitchell Marsh at number 3, they may find it a bit difficult, I think, because you'd probably say, yes, Sarfraz Khan's been in the form of his life in the domestic season, but we haven't consistently seen him bring it to the IPL stage, despite the fact that we've seen quite a few good knocks. So I know I haven't really said one particular thing for the Delhi Capitals, and certainly for another team, I'm probably going to say I'm looking forward to the entire package. And this is another team, I'm effectively just looking forward to see how Delhi Capitals go with their side. And you'd notice for the other teams, I kind of said a vice, which I could see from their squads. But in this case, even they've got a very good 11 whatever happens. And I think that I just think the squad depth of the Delhi Capitals is brilliant, and good luck to them basically. Then the Rajasthan Royals. Now you've got in this team everything pretty much is good apart from 2 things, And I know I said this wasn't that much of this, you wouldn't say it was the forefront of a problem before, but if you combine two and two together, maybe it is. Because if you've got... Look, the problem is, in the bowling attack, Trent Bolt, Navdeep Saini, and Prasidh Krishna. And if Trent Bolt's your best death bowler, and if you're looking to bowl him 2 overs up front in the power play, Mumbai Indians bowled 3 overs of him up front in the power play. If you're looking to do that for him to get power play wickets and also bowl the death, it's going to be kind of a bit stretched. And Navdeep Saini and Prasidh Krishna in the same team wouldn't necessarily be that great. Now, I saw a video from Harsha Bhogale today where he actually didn't play Rassi van der Dussen, who I thought would be played alongside Hetmeyer in my team. And he said Nathan Coulter now to be played instead of Navdeep Saini to kind of bowl the death. And I did understand that because of the fact that, as I said, if you play both of them together, things will go a bit badly. But I personally would probably, considering they don't have that batting depth as much either, what I would say is, in his 11 he had Padikkal at 3. I'm not really sure I'd go with that for now, considering he hasn't really done that in professional cricket at all. So what I do is Joss Buttler, Devdutt Padikkal, Sanju Samson 3. And it's a win-win because Padikkal bats at the opening slots where he gets the most time, and Sanju Samson bats one slot, kind of it's one slot ahead of 4, so he gets kind of his prime slot, let's say. Either in the top 3, if you have Sanju Samson in your top 3, it's the best for the team. Then you got Van der Dussen 4, Hetmeyer 5, Riyan Parag 6, and Ashwin number 7, which is quite a good top 6, a very good top 6. But then after that, I know Navdeep Saini is actually, I think it was a game against New Zealand, he scored I think a 42 or something, so he shouldn't can bat. And that's the reason why he was in my side. And I actually think that he's probably the best player to bat after Ashwin, because I'm saying there's no one else that really, apart from maybe Coulter now, no one else really wields the willow too well. And I personally, and obviously you can see why I can't play Coulter now in my 11, because you've got Trent Bolt as your 4th overseas pick. And I think that in that case, Prasidh Krishna is going to have to stand up to death bowling duties. And there was a super over that Navdeep Saini bowled against the Mumbai Indians in IPL 2020 in a thoroughly entertaining game, and he did quite well. He did really well. And I think that if he can, so with that over, you kind of show that. I know you can't always go super overs because you wouldn't necessarily say Mohammad Shami is the best death bowler, but he delivered a brilliant super over against the Mumbai Indians in that same season. But it just shows that when they can get it right, and when they get it right, they're really good. So they do have that potential to get it right. So Navdeep Saini and Prasidh Krishna are going to have to add that extra dimension to their game. It's vital for their own careers that have been quite good. When you look at Navdeep Saini in tests, when he's not played too often for India, but certainly in that iconic win against Australia in that 4th test match. And Prasidh Krishna, when he kind of hitting a length, where, as I said in the series against West Indies, he didn't really bowl in a situation with the batsman going after him. And I think that he certainly, to add that dimension to his game, and also it's integral for the team, as you can see, because apart from that, the death ball is looking really scratchy. And I'm saying this also because if you combine this with the lack of batting depth, then it's a bit of a problem. So yes, they were outstanding bowlers, Ashwin, Bolt, Chahal. I mean, those 3 outstanding. And look, Prasidh Krishna and Navdeep Saini, if you're looking for Indian seamers, if you got those 2, that's brilliant. But I'm saying the death bowling and batting depth is the issue. And if the batsmen have really good seasons, and that's why Riyan Parag has to deliver number 6. For me, he's the most naturally confident player in the IPL, actually, I feel. And certainly he's shown his ability quite a bit. And I think that he has to deliver in this season. And those 2 things are integral for the team. So it'll be interesting to see how they go. And then the Mumbai Indians. Now, for the Mumbai Indians, I would like to see how the top order, how good seasons they have. Because I'm saying, yes, it's a great core that they have, but it has to be Rohit Sharma, Ishan Kishan, Surya Kumar Yadav, Karan Pollard. Those 4 have to play out of their skins. Because Tim David, look, the IPL is a step up, and he's done well in everywhere that he's played. But if Tim David manages to get to grips with the IPL and then play well as a bonus along with these 4 players, and this Mumbai side will have a brilliant kind of batting season. And with the bowlers that they have as well, with the seam boys, have a decent attack. And probably, if something happens to Bumrah, I do fear for them a bit. But with all hoping that Bumrah is injury free for the entire tournament, and this is quite a good side. I don't think they're as precarious of a position as I thought that they would be. So let's see how things go for them. But I do think that Ishan Kishan 15.5 crores in this side where it relies on the top 4 more than ever, probably especially since 2020, because they don't have a Hardik Pandya there anymore. Ishan Kishan's going to have to give the runs that Quinton de Kock, the volume of runs. Rod Sharma's going to have to also have a very good year and certainly have... I don't think he's been in that bad. But people kind of saying, oh no, he hasn't had a dominant season, okay. But you could say that in maybe 2018. But ever since then, I know he hasn't had a breakout season or anything, but he's still got a few scores. And I think if you actually look through his scores in the seasons after 2018, you'd see that he's been, in most times, quite close to scoring 50s and then getting out. So it seems like he hasn't got many contributions. So certainly what you get from him as a captain and batsman, I think that's integral for this side. Karen Pollard as well, who's a far better player for Mumbai Indians than he is for the West Indies. And the best middle-order batsman in the world right now in Surya Kumar Yadav. So, certainly those 4 are going to have a season out of their skins. And if Tim David comes good, then their batting will be quite good. And Tilak Verma, let's see what he does as well. Then the Sunrisers Hyderabad. Now, this is another case of me just looking forward to the entire package. And I'm saying they're actually quite adaptable in my view, because even though they don't have Rashid Khan, this bowling attack is quite good. They've got an X Factor and Marco Jansen. And even if they don't play him and they play Umran Malik, pretend if they want to play 4 overseas batsmen, the guy who's replacing him bowls 10 kilometers quicker, and they retained him as well. So they'd be expecting something from him, just a few quick overs from last season. And he's been retained. And another bonus, they've bought Natarajan back for 4 crores, an absolute steal. And so with Natarajan, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and either Jansen or Umran Malik, depending on how many overseas batsmen they play, that will certainly, the attack will be well placed either way. And I think that especially someone like an Aiden Markham, I don't think he's been in a bit of a bad run recently, and I don't think that at the start he kind of received some jaffers during the India-South Africa series, but then it's kind of like the Nicholas Puran, when Nicholas Puran was a bit out of touch. He wasn't really, for him, he was kind of getting out and unlucky where he's kind of hitting the ball really cleanly but hitting it straight to the field and the boundary rope, and then he went into a bit of a rut, and now he's really come back well. And then, especially in the T20 format, it didn't affect him too much. Maybe in the IPL it did, yes. But apart from that, he's been quite good T20 format. But now especially, he's kind of really showing a lot of confidence in the way that he plays, and to be integral for the Sunrisers this season. And Aiden Markham, I think that once again it's a case where he faced jaffers from Mohammad Shami, especially in the India-South Africa series, and then the doubts seeped in, and then afterwards probably the ways he got out were his fault. So 2.6 crores, still a steal, and he'll be integral for the season. He's a brilliant player, and let's see how he goes. And I'd certainly says Abdul Samad, I'm backing him to have really a good season, because they need him. If he comes off at that number 6, they've got Washington Sundar at number 7 and Shreyas Gopal as well to come. And okay, it's no Rashid Khan, but you've got an economical bowler like Washington Sundar, especially considering what he's done in the IPL, especially in his breakout year in 2017. And then one of the best wrist spinners in the league, one of the best spinners in the league, I'd say, in Shreyas Gopal, especially in India as well. And so certainly this is quite a good attack, and they've got adaptability in the fact that they could even play Williamson, Markram, Pooran, and Glenn Phillips in the same 11. And that'll be quite good. But that personally, they'd probably for now want to play. They wouldn't mind playing either. But I just think Marco Jansen, that left arm bowler, bowling 140 odd, they'd be really excited to see how he goes in the tournament. So Then the Lucknow Super Giants. Now, what I'm looking forward for them is to just kind of see how they adapt in the death bowling front, considering Mark Wood. They're trying to find a replacement. Yes, they found Andrew Ty, and apparently he's bowling a bit quicker now. There was a time where he bowled a slow ball, and he was kind of the first exponent of the knuckle ball, really ever, especially in modern cricket. He got, I think, a hat-trick in his first ever IPL game for the Gujarat Lions. 5 for 21, I think he got overall in his figures. And he's replaced Mark Wood, but he's certainly not getting that same searing pace. And luckily, they've got a bowler who can bowl at the death like Andrew Ty, because if you're relying on a Dushmanta Chamira based on what we saw in the T20 World Cup and in the series against India recently, then you know that he's quick, but he's not going to give you the kind of the death overs that you want. Yeah, they've only got really 7 overseas players in their squad, and they haven't really got any money left, so they spend every single penny of their budget. And they've got quite a good side all in all. And certainly Manish Pandey, we've seen his capabilities. And it's a weird one because 12 crores, and yet, and you could say overall, you'd kind of say there were quite some really rocky moments. But yet, you see some innings that he's played. He's played quite a few good innings, quite a few 50-plus scores that have really been high-class innings. And when he's batted at number 3, especially like in the 2019 IPL, he was great. So I think that since he's batting at number 3 in this time in good batting conditions, 4.6 scores is a steal for a player like Manish Pandey. And yeah, I really think that's a great acquisition to their side. Marcus Stoinis for me batting at number 4. Then you've got Jason Holder 5. Then you've got Deepak Hooda 6, Kunal Pandya 7. Interesting to see how those two will get along. And then you've got the likes of Avesh Khan, 20-odd wickets last season, a dream season for him last time. And you've got Ravi Bishnoi. So they've got quite a good attack. They've got quite a good first 11. But you could say, as far as the backups are concerned, they've got, I think, Evan Lewis for Quinton de Kock. You say that's a backup. Dushmanta Chamira for Andrew Ty / Mark Wood isn't necessarily a backup in the death bowling front. They've got Kyle Mayers as well. I'm not sure. Maybe in this 11, he looks like either a Kyle Mayers or Jason Holder or a Marcus Stoinis backup. But I don't necessarily think it would work considering what those two offer. So you could say they haven't really got as kind of like for like backups. They've got a few, but especially to Chamira and Kyle Mayers, they haven't necessarily got them. But yeah, this is quite a good side, and yeah, I wish them the best of luck. And finally, the Gujarat Titans. Now, this side, you could say, probably looks the most fragile out of the 10 teams. And what I'm looking forward to is, this is probably, if I had to make a list from 10 to 1, and 1 being the thing I'm most looking forward to, Hardik Pandya's captaincy. Now, apparently, yeah, he will bowl in this tournament, and if he delivers 4 overs, if he does, I'm not expecting him to personally. I think 2 or 3 to start and ease him into it. But if he delivers those overs, then yeah, things will be. You've got Mohammad Shami, Lockie Ferguson, and Hardik Pandya. You've got Mohammad Shami at the start, Hardik Pandya the enforcer in the middle innings and the middle overs, and then you've got Lockie Ferguson. So kind of quality bowlers for each. Hardik Pandya, especially with. I think probably when he bowled at his best was 2018, and he still bowls quite well now. In the few games that we've seen him, he's not fully fit with the ball, but he certainly has shown in the past that he's really a good kind of an enforcer in those middle overs. And there were also a few. I remember especially when I think he played against Australia in India Serve Australia last year. He bowled quite a kind of a good few slower balls when he came onto board. So yeah, certainly he's an apt bowler in that middle stage of the innings. So him being as a third teamer, he could certainly play that role. He's played that role before for India when he's bowling probably at his best, and probably at full fitness to bowl at his best, let's say, because his capability as a cricketer is enormous. And yeah, so certainly him with Mohammad Shami and Lockie Ferguson would be quite a good kind of 3-seamers. And if you're making an 11 for this team, Shubman Gill, Matthew Wade, You've got, for me, I think you should probably Vijay Shankar at number 3 or Abhinav Manor at number 3. Hardik Pandya number 4, I think. Then David Miller number 5. Rahul Tewatia number 6. Then you've got Rashid Khan number 7. And maybe you think players will be batting a bit higher than they should, but I'll say this for now. Rashid Khan number 7, Shami 8, Lockie Ferguson 9. You've got Sai Kishore number 10, and either Varun Narayan or Ankush Rajput in 11. And you'd probably think the batting is a bit thin, which it maybe would be. So if this is the reason why, if Hardik Pandya bowls 4 overs, then it's perfect for the team, because then they probably would, if they just push everyone back and put a Hardik Pandya, kind of a Rahul Tewatia at 7, Miller 6, Hardik Pandya 5, or Hardik Pandya 6, Miller 5, then you could say things look much better. But certainly Ramanullah Gurbaz and is certainly not a Jason Roy replacement, and because you wouldn't even Jason Roy in the subcontinental leagues, I know he's done well in the PSL so far. It's probably the best place. He would have been the best place to do well if he turned up for this IPL. But Ramanullah Gurbaz is kind of just when it goes well for him, it goes well for him, and when it doesn't, it doesn't. And it's kind of just a hit out or get out kind of cricketer at this point from the ball one, really. And I just don't think with the bowling that this competition faces, he does really well in leagues like the T10, but he has a bit more maturing to go, so that he can probably stay a bit longer at the crease, especially in this kind of a league. And maybe in the future, certainly he'd be more of a front runner if he improves on that factor. But right now, certainly a backup. And for Jason Roy, you wouldn't really, they probably wouldn't want to go there, despite the fact that he has a lot of capability. They'd probably, again, he'd probably need to improve in other leagues around the world, and kind of being able to stay there for longer, play those more kind of long impact innings, batting through, and maybe then they'll be able to build on. But yeah, that's on him. And that's on the team. They have quite an excellent bowling attack, but it's all from the fact that the batting is the thing that I'm looking for. So yes, Hardik Pandya's captaincy is the main front, but also the batting to see. They've got players like Matthew Wade, who is certainly with his heroics in the T20 World Cup. Certainly he's quite a guy. I think he's probably one of the most important buys, because otherwise they would have to play Vidhiman Saha out of position at number 3, which would have been disastrous. So that's on that. And if Jason Roy was playing in the tournament, they'd play Vidhiman Saha at number 3, because they wouldn't have really had another keeper. So that's on that. So let's see how they go. And that's 10 things that I'm looking forward to in this tournament. And the tournament starts in 3 days, so let's see how that goes. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Please share this video with your friends. And remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?